Welcome back for another episode of Wake Up America, Wake Up, where the truth is more important than fake news. A podcast empowering critical thinkers to explore the truth. Please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe at Wake Up America, Wake Up. And now, with no further delay, the non-famous, unaffiliated, sledgehammer-carrying host Raphael Fries.
It's no mystery. The public is up in arms about the August 8th FBI raid on Mar-A-Lago, and that DOJ Attorney General Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher Wray, appointed by former President Donald Trump, and U.S. Magistrate Bruce Reinhart's collaboration on the execution of a warrant to search and seize documents at the residence of the former president. In addition, the role of the Biden administration in the raid, claiming the White House was not involved. But we know better. We know the Biden administration wets its pants when former President Trump holds rallies and motivates his voter base along with Biden voter regretters. We know the Democratic Party, along with rhinos, are hoping to stop what some call the Trump train from gathering support to remove these treasonous, corrupt, and deceitful devils from office. The FBI raid collusion goes straight to the top. Of course it does. Biden knew about the raid, though the White House is in denial of having any knowledge. Let's focus on the raid now. I find it interesting the warrant was approved on August 5th by U.S. Magistrate Bruce Reinhart, who defended accused members in the Jeffrey Epstein trial. Additionally, a vocal opponent of former President Trump as well. In any case, he approves the warrant, and the execution wasn't scheduled until the 8th of August. Which I think undermines the narrative that documents held at Mar-A-Lago were an immediate threat to national security. I mean, the media is reporting the documents seized included the nuclear codes. So where was the sense of urgency? Nothing suspicious here, right?
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
Nor the fact that the former president and his team were cooperating since January of 2021 and up until recently, June 2022. Moreover, the raid was executed not by the local FBI office, but rather directed by the Washington, D.C. office by Assistant Director of the FBI Field Office, Stephen M. Ono. Who is he? You should know him as the special agent in charge of the Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer Fednapping case on October 8th, 2020. His handling of the Gretchen Whitmer case is still ongoing because as special agent Stephen M. Ono may have been mixed up in allegations of an FBI cover-up of their involvement in setting up the kidnapping. A case in which the FBI may have created the entrapment of the accused. So instead of being placed on administrative desk duty or even fired, he was promoted and assigned a higher-ranking position in the FBI field office in D.C. Again, nothing to see here, right?
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
The antics of the FBI in the Michigan case are a long list of comedic errors in the history of the FBI you won't hear about. So we have the DOJ and the FBI pursuing a raid on the Mar-A-Lago estate in what many are calling a fishing expedition to find any evidence of former President Trump violating the Presidential Records Act or the Espionage Act, which may be a ruse to find information on the so-called January 6th insurrection. Because keep in mind, urged DOJ Attorney General Garland to seek out the prosecution of President Trump for the January 6th incident. Well, the attempt to implicate the former president for violating the Presidential Records Act is weak because the act itself is a mandate in which all presidents must ensure all recordings, documentation, and records of their actions while in office are preserved by the National Archives Office, which could result in a slap on the wrist for what some see as a clerical error-level grievance, but not enough to derail the presidential run of the former president. If anything, this is inspiring a historically prosecuted former president while in office and even after leaving office. Now, the Espionage Act of 1917, although arguably outdated, is used in many cases for non-wartime accusations. Recently, Edward Snowden and Julian Assange were charged with violating the Espionage Act for revealing the United States government illegal activities in Afghanistan and their spying on allies. The use of the Espionage Act is a long shot, but a damnable accusation because it made it a federal crime for any person to interfere with or attempt to undermine the U.S. Armed Forces during a war, or to in any way assist the efforts of the nation's enemies. Under the terms of the act, signed into law on June 15, 1917, by President Woodrow Wilson, persons convicted of such acts could be subject to fines of $10,000 and 20 years in prison. Under one still applicable provision of the act, anyone found guilty of giving information to the enemy during wartime may be sentenced to death. Is the Biden administration and the Democratic Party so fearful of his run for the presidency that they are willing to consider this act as part of their means to disqualify the former president? Why not just execute him? Because the entire witch hunt we are witnessing are signs we are living in a third world country. But not only that, doesn't it seem that the Espionage Act applies to Hillary Rodham Clinton? What about President Joe Biden? With Clinton, it was the emails. With Joe Biden, it is his relationship with China. While he was a senator, while he was vice president, and while he is president right now. Are we at war, folks? Probably at war with this current authoritarian government, which passed the Inflation Reduction Act while this distraction, the FBI raid, was taking place. A bill that spends billions of dollars and in no way, read my lips,
read my lips,
no way reduces inflation. The raid was a distraction and an attempt by the administration to draw speculation of criminal behavior at the former president. And the fake news media is running with these accusations and sensationalizing them with fairy tales of nuclear secrets being sold, colluding with Iran, and so on. One has to think the entire government has gone insane. or we are living in bizarro world. In any case, the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI is on behalf of the Biden administration and the leftist arm of the Democratic Party to ensure their political opponent, former President Trump, doesn't have an opportunity to run in 2024. This is a clear violation of and trust of these organizations meant to protect the public, not for personal use by the Biden administration as their political law enforcement arm to attack their political opponents. This is not Nazi Germany. But this is not the first time that the FBI has violated the public trust. Under Attorney General Merrick Garland, who has gone back on his oath of office before, Merrick Garland refused to approve a search warrant on the cabin of the Unabomber. You recall Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, terrorized the country from 1975 to 1995, killing 3 people and injuring 21 with bombs that were mailed or dropped off. Merrick Garland didn't see the urgency in arresting the Unabomber, but former President Trump's warrant, without question, was immediately approved.
First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
Pretty darn suspicious. And Biden is widely reported as urging Garland to prosecute Trump for January 6th. His close associates made sure that the media reported that the president wants Mr. Garland to act less like a ponderous judge and more like a prosecutor who is willing to take decisive action over the events of January 6th. Nothing to see here. So does this incident or series of incidents imply all of the FBI as a whole is involved in the politicization and weaponization of this branch of law enforcement? Of course not. But unfortunately, it does imply that a cabal exists within the FBI and must be rooted out. A cabal that includes political members of the leadership in the current administration and the halls of government. A cabal we know as the deep state, which is characterized as a conspiracy, but in reality is rearing its ugly head time and again. And be careful what you say about the DOJ and the FBI, because the fake news and media are calling the criticism of these agencies acts of violence. The questioning of their methods in the pursuit to demonize the former president should not be questioned. Suppressing your First Amendment rights by the thought police. Wake up, America. Wake up.
The FBI's raid on Mar-A-Lago changed the country that we grew up in. We grew up believing that, hey, our government will apply the law equally to all Americans, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We're seeing more and more that that country no longer exists. Law enforcement at the highest levels of government, whether it's the DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and now even the IRS, have been weaponized to target the political opponents of the Uniparty, the permanent Washington, and the Biden regime. Attorney General Merrick Garland has already issued a stark warning to anyone who dares to disagree with these tactics that are all hallmarks of a dictatorship.